And we're live. This is the Dave K Show. We're broadcasting off the beautiful banks of Falls River in New Roads, Louisiana, in Porcupine Parish. And we are so glad to have a very special guest in the studio today. And I'm going to kind of just read a little bit about her and kind of see if you can guess who I got. I got one of the guests, the greatest guests I've had in a while. And I'm anxious to get started in a very interesting conversation that I think you guys out there are going to really, really love. Some of you are going to agree with what they're going to say. Some of you are not going to agree. Some of this is going to be like new material to a lot of people. But my guest that I have describes herself as a guerrilla journalist, and she is a climate engineering historian, among other things, a sovereign truth warrior. She's the author of Funny Clouds, a chemtrail tale, runs a great YouTube channel, which you need to check out, called NOLA Butterfly. And also she's recently a 5G activist, talking about the smart grid and all the dangers and harm that can come from the new 5G system that's going to be implemented. Also, transhumanist agenda. She's going to discuss a lot about that. She has a great docuseries called The World of Hot Water, which you really, really need to check into. And ladies and gentlemen, I have in the studio live with me Mr. Raphael O'Neill. How you doing?
Hello, hi, fine.
All right, Raphael, we got a lot to talk about today, right? We got
yes.
We got to unpack a lot of different things. We're
Sure.
going to talk about a lot of different things. But you know what I want to do? I want to go back to the very beginning because you weren't always these things that I just described, right? So what kind of clued you into getting into helping people out and uncovering all this crap we got going on in the world right now?
Well, I think I was always in a big mouth. I was an artist, and I like to express myself. But I was also an environmentalist. I was concerned about the environment. My heart broke with the BP oil spill, and I was vocal about the choices we made in the cleanup, and was sensitive to some of the environmental effects from that. And also survived Katrina, like a lot of people in New Orleans, and had some strong feelings about climate and climate change. I was on the Al Gore train, early on, and my matrix started breaking down bit by bit sometime after I voted and campaigned for Obama and realized it didn't really matter who we voted for. There was something going on that's been going on for a while when I realized my skies were coming out. So it started with the chemtrails. It started with FEMA camps, but I didn't go very far with it. I exhausted myself financially and emotionally and spiritually worrying about it, and without getting answers and really going far. And so I gave it up because I thought, hey, Obama won. People got their will, and I had a hard time with 9/11 and all that, obviously. But and then I discovered chemtrails.
And we're still on the air, right?
Yes, I'm just I'm just going to take a pause there because that was like, oh my God. And it wasn't just discovering the chemtrails, it was discovering the reticence of the public to address it or people to even know about any of this. And as I'm trying to prove my own sanity or to prove the quote unquote conspiracy, whether there's validity to it or not, in an intellectually honest way, my skies were disappearing. So whatever you want to call that, had to be addressed. And I wrote the children's book, and that opened me up to a lot of attack. And I dove into the science even more, and then the climate change narrative, which I'd been holding off on. And I found some things out, and therein lies the story of a great adventure, which I'm going to let you lead on. But that breadcrumbs of our own awakening, and I've had some tremendous souls along the way that have given me some insight that have sped me on the path of discovering some of this landscape that we're going to be touching on today.
Sure. And in light of all that, as you found out, you uncovered so many different things in our society. It started off, like I said, FEMA camps, chemtrails, and everything. And kind of
and probably even before that, medical. Like when I realized that the standard American diet or junk food isn't working for me and how it affects my health. And so, first there was an underlying having had experienced the medical profession, wanting to handle me and mishandle me with the best intentions and the best science, but still the protocol's not working for me, and what it took and why that was. And these are pieces that come together, and it's hard to see because there's a lot of layers of lies that are industry interest at the very least. At the very worst, a little more nefarious than that, but we have to deal with the reality, whatever the intention behind it. first
Right.
of all.
And so, the pharmaceutical industry, I guess more specifically, when you talk about medical stuff and everything too, everything seems to hinge on two things in this world: is money and control. It seems like,
Well, yeah, sure.
you know. So and it's like anytime you touch that, those are hot spots that the global elite that try to pull us down by, like I said, money and control. So the big pharma industry, that's the whole thing in and of itself. Real quick, I was at the doctor for a checkup recently. I'm a diabetic, and so my doctor came in, and he had an intern working with him, a young guy he's a resident in med school. He says, I'm going to let my resident come and talk to you for a few minutes. I'm going to step out, kind of give him some experience, with the patient. So he says, so Dave, I hear you're a diabetic. I'm a diabetic and everything. So, I'm on insulin right now, but I'm trying to get off of insulin. So, I said my goal is to get off of insulin and to control my diet better, my sugar intake and everything. But I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hard. It's very hard because my job as a paramedic, we get free cold drinks all night long. The water we have to pay for, the cold drinks are free. It's a tough thing for me. It's what I struggle with and everything.
Sure.
You know what he told me? Well, Dave, why don't you try Diet Cokes? I'm going like, he did not just say that.
No, yeah, and like, for instance, what our solution to global warming is mercury-filled corkscrewed light bulbs. That's the wrong narrative, my friend. That's an industry narrative that has nothing to do. We're all gonna be dead from whatever the hell it is,
Right.
long before any of that gets resolved with a corkscrew-filled mercury packet
Yes.
that's going to fill our landfills with more pollution. Because
Yes.
the narrative is wrong, and when you're ready to unpack that particularly, we can dive into some of the things I've discovered
Yes.
with that
Right.
in the climate.
And
But-
and the curly Q light bulbs are, once again, money and control. It's like, okay, so the guys that does, okay, well, this is going to save on your electric bill rather than an incandescent light bulb, which burns a lot more electricity and everything. That's what they tell us. What's the true purpose behind these light bulbs?
They're dirty, actually. They're dirty EMF. They make people sick. If you notice, you turn them off and they're still kind of on,
Yes.
putting off this
Yes, you're right.
underneath it. And
right.
some people are really sensitive to it. And in fact, EMF, electromagnetic frequency sensitivity, hypersensitivity, can be developed over time. And a lot of people have discovered this, will discover this, are discovering this. I lived by a cell phone tower for a few years, me and my son did. And then we got Wi-Fi through the walls, not just through our phone, which is even stronger, even though the phone can spike to high levels. They call it a handheld portable device, but if you read the instructions, you're not supposed to actually hold it to your body.
Right. Right.
And there's a great article now that's mainstream article with Wired magazine saying how 5G is making me rethink the safety of my cell phone. People are like, wait a minute, we've been sold on this